Welcome to More Than a Brand podcast. I'm Lindsay Tramel-Jones, the founder of Fiercified Creative and Consulting. In this podcast, you will hear stories of how amazing entrepreneurs made the decision to fall in love with themselves enough so that it bleeds over into their business. We're getting deeper than the industry. We're talking about the entrepreneur and the face behind it all. Sit back, grab your notepad, and anything that you need to get comfortable, because these stories are going to take you to a place that no other podcast has taken you before. Hello. I'm here with Matt Putra. He is a dad. He's a husband of 16 years. He is also a resident of Vancouver, Canada. But Matt, tell me, who are you without all of the titles?
Yeah, you're assuming I know who I am without all the title. If I think about it, I think I'm still a kid with a dream.
Mm-hmm. What kind of dream? What dream that kid has?
I to be important, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think since I've been a kid, that seems to be a through line. And I'm important to my kids. I'm important at work. I wanted to be an important NBA player many years ago, but
How
that
tall are
didn't quite
you?
happen.
How tall are you? Yeah.
I'm 5'9".
That's a dream.
It was a dream. I think 13-year-old me or 14-year-old me may have realized that dream wasn't going to work out. But I ended up playing basketball all the way through high school, and then I played soccer again after high school. I still play soccer now, so. But I think, yeah, that's it. I wanted to be important. I still want to be important.
So you are the CEO of Eightx.
That's right.
Yes, Eightx,
You did. You nailed it.
and you guys have basically your fractional CFOs. Tell me
Yes.
how you came up with the idea, or were you always the money guy to build that company?
No, I was not always a money guy. When I was around 15, my grandfather died of heart disease, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a cardiac doctor, right? And so then that's sort of what I had set my sights on. And then I went and did my first year of pre-med right after high school. And then I'm like, I am not going to be a cardiac. I do not want to do the school for this long and any of that stuff. So, and I mean, maybe I could have, maybe I couldn't have, but I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I actually dropped out of university at 18, and then I just went to work. So I worked in a warehouse. I was sweeping the floor. And then I ended up becoming a supervisor very quickly, and then a manager and so on. And so what I really ended up liking was, management and business and like leadership. And so after it was like a manufacturing role, I was there for 10 years. And then when my wife got pregnant with our first son, I was like, oh shit, this job is going nowhere. So I went back to school, and I was like, what's the hardest degree that I could think of taking? And I picked accounting and finance. And then I went to I was like an analyst, and then I was a controller, and then I worked in the audit role for a bit, and then I became a VP in a private equity group. And so I was only a money guy since I don't know, 28 or so.
Okay.
How I got started as a fractional is as I was at this private equity group, and a friend of mine asked for help. Hey, can you help my wife and I with my business? And I helped them, made a ton of money for them. And then I helped one of their friends, and I helped one of their friends. And then I was like, I guess I could do this, right?
So that's how it works, right? It's like a network.
100%. And in the early days was really easy to get launched because there wasn't many CFOs on LinkedIn. So I just helped people all day, and I got work. Yeah. So that's how I started.
So you started with you by yourself.
Yeah.
How did you start growing the team? How did you build Eightx? So you by yourself to now I have a company with, I think it was like 7 or 8 people on
We're
the
25
team.
people
25. Now. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get to that point?
Yeah, it took a while. So it was just me. And then I realized that I was really not good at routine reporting. And so I was like, I guess I could just hire somebody for that maybe, right?
Yeah.
So I hired my first person, and they didn't really work out. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I can't hire someone. This is not going to work. Right. And then I hired someone else, and I was like, this guy was amazing. And everything was done on time, and it was done really well. And I was like, oh, I could really have a business here. Right. So that was employee number 2. Then I started getting busier and busier, and I was like, I need help with like the thinking part. And so then my third employee, I met him through a friend of a friend, and he was incredible. And so he's still with me today. That was 3 years ago. And after him, I was like, oh, we can really do this between those two guys. John and Leandro are their names. Leandro's a CFO with us now. And then I was like, well, I guess I could just figure out how to hire. So then I hired an assistant next. And then I was like, oh man, Leandro needs help. So then I hired another analyst. And then we just kept hiring and kept growing. And
that's great. So our audience is mainly small businesses that are trying to scale to their first or multiple 6 figures. What are some red flags from a CFO point of view where you're like, don't do that? Like, what are some red flags that you can give them?
Let's see. I would say sometimes a red flag is to hire like an operations person before they're really needed, because you want to hand off some of your duties as a CEO, as an owner. And I tried that a couple times. It didn't really work. And I think, I don't know, that's just one. I feel like sometimes I wanted to just get some of that stuff off my plate so that I can like do other the fun stuff. And it didn't work. And it's still, even I've just gotten back into the weeds on a part of my business, and because I didn't check in on it for a while and it wasn't going awesome. What else would I say? A lot of people, well, this is one I've learned this year, is especially for like businesses where you're a service provider, a lot of people don't really think about doing marketing, and they want to grow. Marketing is kind of like, oh, like marketing. And so you want to grow by word of mouth, or you want to grow by referrals, and but like, you know what? If I could go back to day one, I would start marketing right away, even if it was like $100 a week or $100 a month, because as you figure that out, you're able to generate business on repeat. And so I think that's a really important skill, because mastering organic content I find it very, very difficult. And referrals sometimes come and sometimes they don't. And all those other streams of leads really depend on you as an owner making them happen forever. Whereas marketing, if you figure out marketing, you can teach someone to do it, and then you can hire someone to do it, and then you get leads while you are away. So now I'm going on vacation next week. I'm going to get 10 to 15 leads next week. I'm not going to do anything, right? And that is very new for me, and I wish I had started marketing a very long time ago.
I like that you pointed out marketing. Marketing does, for some reason, even for me as a business owner, I feel kind of icky about it. I gotta ask people. Y'all can't just fire me. So I get it. And that is a problem when it comes to small businesses. As from the financial standpoint, when you start working with these businesses, what is one key metric or one key thing that you're looking for to help them scale? Is there one, or maybe 3?
Yeah. How do I know someone can scale? Okay. So the way I look at their business in terms of like growth is for every business I work with, and you could be a service provider, you could be a manufacturer, you could be a e-commerce company, which we work with primarily, or a CPG, like selling and wholesale. The most important thing about any of these businesses is understanding your conversion funnel. So in the service business, well, in mine now, I have I have some streams where leads come in. So referrals, word of mouth, partnerships, and then marketing. And in the marketing, you can break that into a funnel. So you can go, if I put money into the Facebook machine, how much does that cost? And how many impressions do I get? And then how many click-throughs do I get? And then how many people go to my site? And then how many book? And then there's percentages at each of those drop-offs. If you're CPG, like you sell into a grocery store, your conversion funnel looks something like, how many sales reps do I have? How many phone calls do they make? How many people pick up the phone? When they pick up the phone, how many second calls do I get? How many meetings do I get? Something like that. And if you're e-commerce, it's similar to my story with marketing. And so in every business, I'm looking at this whole conversion funnel, and I'm going, the cost to acquire a customer is made up of all these bits. Well, let's audit the bits to see where there's an either opportunity or a problem. For one company I worked with, they said, hey, we have 100 extra grand this month. Let's put it into marketing. And they were just going to spend on marketing. And I said, well, hang on, let's look at your funnel first. So we looked at their funnel and we found out that their click-through rate was about 0.2% lower than their longer term average. And when I looked at that, $100,000, you would get probably $60,000 return, so additional return, if you increased your click-through rate by 0.2%. So 0.2% should be achievable. If you just spent $100,000 on pumping ads more, the return would have been $50,000. So where do you put the money? Well, you put it on the click-through rate because it should be very simple to increase your click-through rate by 0.2% if you spend $100,000. So conversion funnels is the way that you look at growth. Figure out how do you get more outputs or better inputs into that funnel or better conversions at some point in the funnel.
I like that. So when you're talking conversion rates and you have your small businesses tracking it, or what are some tools? Because I'm a tech girly. So is there any must use this tool or don't use that one? That one's not going to help you understand your financial. Is there any, or do you have your own?
Yeah, I mean, we make some. Well, your audience is primarily in what sort of industry? Do
So
you
most
know?
of them are coaches and consultants, so service
Correct.
providers. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like me. So we use both HubSpot and Go High Level.
Okay.
And Go High Level's new. Our marketing agency suggested we use Go High Level because of the automations and things like that. So we're using Go High Level. So in Go High Level, well, the way I look at my conversion funnel, which may help some others. So we have the money that we put into Facebook. We have impressions on ads. We have clicks. We have site sessions. We then have contact form signups. And then we have like the reach outs from when they sign up to when they book. And so we're looking at all these pieces, and we would typically pull everything into like a Google Sheet on like a weekly basis and analyze this funnel on a weekly basis to see where in the funnel is there an opportunity, where is there something wrong, and then we can work at whatever point it makes sense to work at, right? So we just started, and so we're just figuring it out. But again, the funnel's there. But we use, like I say, Go High Level and HubSpot for pulling out the data.
So let's say I was working with Eightx and I reading on your website, y'all do an audit first, and then and I like that y'all do optimize, and then you go to alignment. What does that process look like?
Alignment on what we're going to be doing?
From the audit to the
Sure.
Yes, the 3-step
Sure.
process.
Yeah. So we have, call it a 90-day onboarding, basically. And it's long, but we do a lot. And so, and actually just, behind the curtain, everybody loves our 90-day onboarding. And we've never had a complaint about that. And sometimes it just gets boring after that. So we do have churn occasionally after it. But anyway, so we look at what is wrong with the business, and we have a module-based 90 days. And it's fairly, I would say it's standard, but then the CFO who's working with somebody will customize it for that person. So we have, call it 20 tools that we've got created over the years.
Okay.
And the CFO will look at the risks and what we've done in the audit, and they will insert those tools at various stages along the path of our 90-day plan. And what we're trying to do is give value very, very quickly, and then make sure that we also solve problems that we may not know exist and so on. Yeah. So let's say someone comes to me and they say, well, let's say they think they can scale, but they're not sure how to do it. Well, conversion funnel is the first tool we're going to make for them, right? And then let's say they go, oh, well, next month my cash flow doesn't look great. So then week 2, we might make a cash flow forecast that they can use. So that's how we kind of get our alignment. And of course, we just talk about it with them in the first couple of calls, right?
I like that your process is tailored. So it's not like a one size fit all. It's like, as we get to know you more, we'll add more tools as we get to understand in 90 days, it does seem long when you say it, but when you explain it, it doesn't seem as long. You're actually getting to the nitty gritty and the bottom of it, and probably finding a lot of cash gaps inside of
We
businesses that
do.
you're working with?
Certainly do. Yes, absolutely.
I have one more question, then I'm going to wrap it up with the last one. My
Sure.
last question is one thing that every six-figure business owner should know to do this quarter to project their growth. Like if you give them one golden rule, what do you think they should do?
To project your growth.
Yes. Or to help
Okay.
bleed in money. Either way, either one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, the first thing is you have to be profitable now. Like banks and it's hard to find lending, and so you just need to be profitable, right? Um, and so look at your fixed costs, look at where the business is going, and you should be leaning very heavily on AI. You should be creating agents. You should be, we have a number of processes that run in the background of our business with AI and automations and agents. So again, heavily into AI. And then the other thing that I would say is just understand your funnel but forecast it out over time.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go, my business is going to grow 20% this quarter. Okay. Well, take that number and back it into your funnel, and it exposes your assumptions, whether they're going to be realistic or not. Because let's say 20%, you need to spend an additional 20,000 on marketing. Well, you might not know you need that unless you map your funnel out. Or let's say you're assuming your click-through rate is going to be too high. So you have to figure that out.
Yeah, I like that. So my last question,
Mhm.
we talked about what 10-year-old you had a plan to be a best. Big dreams. I can respect it.
Yeah.
But is 10-year-old you proud of who you are today?
General me proud of me. I think so. I do. 10-year-old me was a little scared and was a little bit worried and not super cool. And now I don't know, like I feel I'm important to my kids, I'm important to my team and my family, and I have some great friends, um and I'm stronger than I've ever been. And I don't
Yeah.
know, like I think 10-year-old, yeah, I'm good.
That's right. Where can
Mhm.
people find you at on socials? Where are you hanging out at so they can get to know more about you and 8X?
For sure. So our website is eightx.co, EIGHTX.co. I'm also on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/Matt Putra. I think those are the main two places I'm at. I have a YouTube channel. It's called How Do I? And so I answer how do I questions with other people
Oh,
as well.
cool.
Those are the places. Yeah. You could also just email me, matt@eightx.co, 100%.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of More Than a Brand, and we'll be back next month with a new episode.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Remember, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the new upcoming episodes. And if you want to, find us on social media at fierceified.agency on Instagram, or find us on Facebook at Fierceified Creative and Consultant.